Tonight, chaos in Cranebrook. The fiery crash in Sydney's west that sparked a wild brawl with police left a dog tasered and a young boy in hospital. The Premier says his jobs for Labor mates is all above board. We put his claims to the pub test. The beginning of 60-day scripts at pharmacies, what you need to know to save hundreds of dollars a year. How Qantas could face fines of hundreds of millions of dollars for cheating its customers. Shark nets are rolled out for the swimming season despite claims they do nothing to protect us while killing other marine life. Sydney's property market is heating up again. We reveal the suburbs, though, where rising mortgage payments are forcing people to sell at a loss. And a special warning for sufferers of asthma and hay fever, the heightened risk at this year's change of seasons.
This is 10 News First, Sydney, with Hugh Rimmond.
Good evening. A young boy is in hospital tonight with serious injuries after a fiery crash at Cranebrook. Police say it is remarkable no one was killed when a stolen vehicle hit a tree. They have slammed the actions of two others who allegedly fled the scene, leaving bystanders to pull the boy from the wreckage. The incident resulting in a violent standoff.
Pulled from a burning car, a 12-year-old boy cries out in immense pain, suffering a broken leg. He was a passenger in a Mazda that hit a tree on Pendock Road at Cranebrook around 7:30 last night. Police say the SUV was stolen.
All we could hear was a lot of cry outs for help. Help me, I'm injured, don't just leave me.
Witnesses reported seeing a second occupant flee the scene on foot, while a third was bundled into a shopping trolley and wheeled away. He was tracked down at a nearby home when neighbours reported a man wailing in distress, but those inside wouldn't open the door to police or paramedics.
And were threatening to set their dogs on anybody who tried to gain access.
Riot squad officers eventually broke in and used capsicum spray to subdue those inside.
During the course of the entry, the dog bit one police officer and was tasered.
Two men were charged with hindering police.
Yep, here we go, see, I'm not resistant.
While another was taken to Westmead Hospital with leg and head injuries sustained in the crash. Further charges are expected. Police are still searching for the third person involved in the crash, but they're confident they know who they're looking for and believe it could be another child. Detectives delivering a strong message to anyone who may be trying to hide them.
I'm calling on you to start considering that course of action and what they're involved in and steer them towards some sort of constructive behaviour.
Before someone else ends up in another crash like this, that could have more tragic consequences. Taylor Ryan for 10 News First.
The Premier insists his government has not been damaged by the saga around the appointment of the state transport boss. According to Chris Minns, the public doesn't care. His longtime friend, Josh Murray, secured his new job under a cloud of campaign donations and murky recruitment methods. So we decided to see whether that claim passed the pub test.
Chris Minns is ready to smooth over the so-called Jobs for Donor Mates scandal.
Look, I genuinely think for your average voter out there, they'd be thinking, I'm not going to judge these guys on the appointment of Mr Murray.
So we put that to the punters.
I just don't think it's really fair that they did that. It's paying your way into Parliament and stuff. It's not right.
No, shouldn't happen in my book.
Today, another senior public servant was quizzed on donations to the National Party before being appointed the role of Assistant Cross-Border Commissioner.
Do you recall how much money you gave to the National Party 2018 leading into, I guess, the 2019 election?
But it's just under $4,000, I believe. It's dinners. It's dinners and other things.
That's a significant amount of money.
Yesterday, the state transport boss, Josh Murray, revealed he'd made donations totalling almost $1,500 to the Labor Party before he was appointed to the role in July. The Premier insists he didn't need to declare he was a Labor Party member.
No, I think that he made the right decision there.
Did you make your employer aware of your membership of the National Party when you applied for the role?
Absolutely. I've never hidden I mean, it's public knowledge.
Yesterday, the inquiry heard Josh Murray considers the Premier to be his friend.
I've known the Premier for, I would estimate, 20 years.
Murray was deemed the best person for the job by Transport Minister Joe Haylen, despite a recruiter declaring his appointment a significant risk. The Premier says people in these top jobs have the right to be politically aligned, but in the eyes of the public, there's still the perception of preferential treatment.
Would you hire someone? No, I wouldn't hire someone who's risky here.
If the Premier thinks that this is going away, the news is that this inquiry will continue because the people of New South Wales deserve better.
Sarah Naven for 10 News First.
Australians will save on prescription medicine with the first stage of the government's new 60-day script policy taking effect. Let's bring in Alice Hogg. Alice, how big are the savings?
Hugh, the federal government anticipates that patients will save more than $1.6 billion over the next 4 years through these new 60-day prescriptions. That could add up to as much as $180 a year per medicine for Medicare card holders who do not have a concession card. Now, the policy means patients can receive double the amount of medication for the cost of a single prescription. The option now applies to nearly 100 common medicines listed on the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, including those used to treat conditions like asthma, diabetes, hypertension and epilepsy. Not everyone has been on board with this change, though the Pharmacy Guild is suspending its campaign against the reform as it enters early talks with the government to hash out an agreement going forward.
When a 2-for-1 policy is announced, it sounds great at face value until you realise that it's actually the independent pharmacist behind the counter who's covering the cost of that second box.
We know that it will improve medication compliance by as much as 20%. That's why pretty much every other country we compare ourselves to has already been doing this for many, many years.
Another benefit the government says is that it will also free up millions of GP visits.
OK, Alice Hogg, thank you. Shark nets have been put back in the water today along scores of the state's beaches, sparking renewed anger over the practice. The government has been accused of ignoring scientists and councils who insist the nets don't work, but they do take a shocking toll on other marine species.
Just below the surface, it's slaughter in the water.
Just in the last year alone, hundreds of animals were caught in these nets. The majority of animals caught are actually threatened species. They're turtles, they're rays, they're penguins that are being caught and killed in these nets.
In winter, the shark nets are pulled out to protect migrating whales. Today, they went back in.
I ocean swim all year round, and sometimes with dolphins, and so it's tragic to see these dolphins get caught in the shark nets.
Despite new technologies, the government is still netting 51 beaches.
And I've got to have confidence as we head into the summer months that there will be a regime in place that's as good as the existing shark nets.
Considered harmless, a hammerhead shark among the unintended non-target victims, almost 3,500 in the past decade, including 59 critically endangered grey nurse sharks, 105 marine turtles and 54 dolphins.
Nets out now. We know that shark nets are redundant, they don't work.
Sharks can swim under them, around them, over them.
Public support is high for drone surveillance and other non-invasive methods, according to a recent government-commissioned community sentiment survey. Only 24% supported nets. Councillors from up and down the coast today speaking out for their ocean-loving residents.
They love the creatures there. They know that the nets are killing them and they're doing nothing to keep our communities safe.
Other people are protesting the use of old technology, using old technology. They're asking people to send a fax to the office of the New South Wales Premier.
Shark nets were put in back in 1937. Maybe they suited the 1930s. They certainly don't suit 2023.
Ali Donaldson for 10 News First.
The Australian consumer watchdog wants Qantas slapped with a record fine of up to $600 million as it launches its legal case against the airline. It has been a turbulent week for the flying kangaroo, accused of selling tickets for non-existent flights and questioned over its close relationship with the federal government.
Prepare for landing a huge fine.
If it's proven in court Qantas sold tickets for 8,000 flights it had already cancelled.